The planet Zeraphor was burning. It started with a solar storma, a wave of fire from the sun that slammed into the planet's magnetic field. Most of the planet handled it fine. But in the southern hemisphere where the Crimson Canopy stood, it was a disaster. The Crimson Canopy was no ordinary forest. Its trees were huge, over 200 meters tall. The leaves were red, glowing faintly even at night. The Zayran people had lived there for thousands of years. Some humans called it the most beautiful jungle in the galaxy. Now it was on fire. Thick. Smoke turned the sky black. Trees cracked and screamed as flames ate them from inside. Creatures ran in panic. The air was so hot that even metal began to warp. In the middle of this chaos was Sergeant Ryan Thorne. He stood on the edge of a high ridge, looking down at the burning jungle. His armor was thick and heavy, painted dark gray with a faded earth. Flag on one shoulder, his helmet filtered the smoke, but even so, he could smell the burning. His team was already moving. Drones buzzed overhead, mapping safe paths. Rescue shuttles flew between clearings, picking up survivors. Ryan tapped his comms. Team Delta, report. Any Zerons found in Sector 7? Negative, came the reply. Too hot. We pulled back. That place is gone. Ryan cursed softly. There were still people down there. Zerons, maybe? Even scientists or civilians who hadn't made it out in time. He checked his map again. A red dot blinked in the far zone, a distress signal. Not human. Zeron frequency. He radioed command. Central, this is Thorne. I've got a Zyron signal. Grid Canine, just south of the cliff line. There was a pause. That's outside the safe zone, Sergeant. Do not proceed. Ryan stared at the signal. Copy that, he said. Then he turned. Off the radio, he moved fast. His suit helped him run through falling ash and broken ground. Flames licked at the edges of his vision, but he kept going. He jumped over a fallen tree that exploded a second later. Heat wrapped around him like a blanket. The signal was getting stronger. He found the source, near a cliff wall, strange, curved. Structure had collapsed, half metal, half tree. It was clearly Zarin built, their style smooth and organic. It looked like it had once been a lab. The front entrance was blocked by debris. Ryan used his exogloves to pull away a steel beam. He forced his way inside. It was dark. Smoke hung low. Small fires crackled across the floor. Then he heard a faint, weak voice. Speaking Zoran, he turned a corner and saw her. She lay under a large piece of support beam. Her skin was a soft violet color, glowing faintly in the firelight. Eyes were large, silver blue, and full of pain. Her breathing was shallow. Her suit was damaged, leaking cooling fluid. She was a Zyrene woman, young, beautiful. Ryan moved fast. He knelt beside her, lifting the beam carefully. His suit groaned with effort. Her body slid free and she gasped, clutching her side. He opened a compartment on his arm and pulled out a medinjector. He pressed it to her neck. The healing drugs went in immediately. Her breathing calmed. Can you walk? He asked. Her translator crackled. You came back? Why, Ryan didn't answer. He just lifted her into his arms. The way out was harder. The fire was spreading faster than expected. Parts of the jungle were exploding, trees filled with gas bursting like bombs. Ash covered everything. Ryan held the alien woman close, shielding her body with his own as he moved. At one point a flaming branch fell, nearly crushing them. He rolled them aside just in time. His armor was dented. Her suit was torn. But they kept going. They reached a small clearing. A rescue shuttle passed. Overhead, but didn't see them. Ryan tried to call for help, but the signal was jammed. We'll need to get to higher ground, he said. She nodded, weak but alert now. My name is Sylria, she said softly. Ryan Thorne, he replied. Let's get you out of here. They walked. She leaned against him. Her body was warm, even through the suit. She looked at him with a strange expression. Not fear, not pain, but curiosity. Hope. In all her life, she had never seen a human risk his life for a Zyren. Not like this in Ryan. He'd seen war, but he'd seen people do terrible things. But this was different. There was something about her. Something he didn't expect. Maybe this fire hadn't just destroyed things. Maybe it had brought something new, something worth saving. Smoke filled the air like thick gray soup. The sky above was orange, glowing from the never-ending firestorm. Trees burned in every direction, and falling ash danced like deadly snow. Sergeant Ryan Thorne held Zalria close as they moved through the jungle. Her body was light in his arms, but the heat made every step harder. His armor hissed as it cooled itself. But the outside temperature kept rising. They were running out of time. Ryan stopped under a large tree with blackened bark. For a moment, there was silence, except for the fire crackling nearby. "We need to find high ground," he said, placing Zalria gently against the tree. "I can't call for help from here." Zalria nodded weakly. Her voice was soft. "There's a cum tower north of here, on a cliff." Ryan checked his map. The direction was right, but it was 2 kilometers through burning jungle and dangerous terrain. Still, it was their only choice. He offered her water from his suit's supply. She drank carefully, her silver blue eyes never leaving his face. "You could have left me," she said. "But you didn't." "I don't leave people behind," Ryan replied. She looked at him for a long moment, then smiled faintly. "Humans are strange." He gave a small chuckle. "You have no idea." They moved slowly at first, with Zalria leaning on him. Ryan led the way, cutting through thick vines with his heated blade. Some of the trees screamed when cut in natural defense. Zarifor was a living planet, and it did not like being harmed. As they walked, they passed glowing flowers, scorched animal, bones and strange pods hanging from branches. One of them burst open with a hiss, releasing a cloud of red gas. Ryan quickly covered Zalria's face and pulled her away. The gas was harmless to humans, but could paralyze Zorans. "This fire isn't natural," Zalria said suddenly. "Her." The voice was stronger now, and her steps more steady. Ryan looked at her. "What do you mean?" She pointed to a burned area where the trees had fallen in a perfect circle. "My lab studied forest patterns. Fire spread differently. This was started with purpose." He frowned. "By who?" "I don't know yet," she said. "Someone wanted to destroy this place. And me." Ryan didn't like that. Fire was one thing, but murder, that was another. They walked faster now. After half an hour, they reached a deep ravine filled with smoke and strange sounds. The bridge was gone, burned. The only way across was down through the valley. Ryan scanned it with his visor. Movement. Shapes crawling on the ground. "Stay behind me," he said, raising his weapon. They descended carefully. The valley floor was hot and cracked. Pools of glowing green liquid bubbled nearby, then something moved ahead. A fire dash worm. It was long like a snake, but made of muscle and flame. It had no eyes, just a mouthful of glowing teeth. It smelled. Bemin hissed. Ryan fired first. His rifle spat blue energy, hitting the worm in the face. It screamed and rushed forward. Zalria raised her hand, and a burst of bioenergy flew from her palm. The worm twisted in pain. Ryan jumped to the side, rolled, and fired again. The worm's head exploded in a shower of fire and ash. Another worm appeared, and another. "There's too many," Zalria shouted. Ryan pulled out 2 grenades and threw them into the swarm. The explosion shook the valley and sent fireworms flying. When the smoke cleared, only 1 worm remained. Burned and angry, it charged straight at them. Ryan grabbed a sharp metal rod from the ground, ran forward, and drove it through the creature's mouth with a roar. The worm collapsed and stopped moving. Breathing hard, Ryan turned to Zalria. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "You fight like a beast," he smiled. "That's the nicest thing anyone's said to me today." They climbed out of the ravine. The cum tower was now in sight, standing on top of a rocky cliff. Ryan helped. Zalria climbed the steep path. Her hand clung tightly to his arm. At the top, they reached a small plateau with the metal tower rising into the smoky sky. But something was wrong. The tower was broken. The antenna had been blown apart. Wires hung like vines. And near the base, Ryan found something. A detonation device. Human-made. He picked it up and stared at it. This was no accident, he muttered. Someone blew this up on purpose. Zalria looked at the device, and her face turned pale. That's military grade. Ryan's jaw tightened. It means someone doesn't want help getting out. Suddenly, a new sound filled the air. A ship. They looked up and saw a dropship flying in the distance. But it wasn't a rescue ship. Its markings were wrong. It was black, with no identification. It flew past without stopping. Zalria looked worried. I think we're being hunted. Ryan looked back at the broken tower, then at the burning forest behind them. He turned to Zalria, and we need to be ready. He picked up his rifle, checked the charge, and stood tall. We're not done yet. The wind howled through the cliffs as thick black smoke rose high into the air. The forest below was no longer just burning, it was angry. The flames roared like a beast, leaping from tree to tree, chasing everything that lived. Sergeant Ryan. Thorne stood beside the broken tower, staring at the wreckage. Beside him, Zalria sat on a rock, breathing hard but recovering. Her violet skin was streaked with ash, her silver-blue eyes alert. We can't call for help, Ryan said. The tower is destroyed, and that ship we saw? It wasn't one of ours. Zalria nodded. That was a hunter ship. I've seen one before. Silent. No markings. They work for people who want problems to disappear. Ryan looked at her. And you're the problem? I was studying something in the forest, she replied. Energy pulses under the roots. Very old. Maybe even alive. I reported it last week. Ryan raised an eyebrow. And then someone sets the forest on fire. She nodded slowly. Someone didn't want me to speak again. Ryan clenched his fist. You're lucky I found you first. She gave him a soft look. Yes, I am. The wind shifted. Ryan looked over the cliff and cursed. The fire's heading this way. Fast. A new wall of flame moved toward them. Trees snapping and exploding as it came. Sparks flew into the air, glowing like stars. We need to go, Ryan said. Now. He helped Zalria stand. Her legs were steadier now, but she still leaned on him. Together, they moved along a narrow cliff path, hoping to reach the northern ridge. Below them, the forest burned like a sea of fire. As they walked, Ryan kept checking his surroundings. His helmet's sensors were damaged by the heat and static. Buzzed in his ears. Something felt wrong. Then he saw movement. From the smoke ahead, two figures appeared humanoid, wearing black armor. No lights, no flags. Silent and deadly. Ryan pushed Zalria behind a rock. They're not friendly, he whispered. One of the black-armored figures raised a weapon. Ryan fired first. His energy shot hit the soldier's arm, making him drop his weapon. The second, enemy opened fire, red lasers hitting the rocks nearby. Run, Ryan shouted. He and Zalria sprinted along the edge of the cliff, staying low. Behind them, more gunfire echoed through the smoke. Ryan turned, aimed, and shot one soldier in the end. Chest. The body fell off the cliff, but more were coming. They're tracking us, Zalria said, panting. They won't stop. Ryan pulled out a small metal device from his belt. Smoke bomb. Hold your breath. He threw it behind them. It exploded. With a hiss releasing thick green fog, it bought them a few seconds to escape. They reached a narrow cave in the cliff. Ryan ducked inside, pulling Zalria with him. It was dark and cool, safe for now. Inside the cave, Ryan lit a small flashlight from his helmet. The walls glowed faintly with crystals. The ground was dry and covered in dust. Zalria sat down and took a deep breath. I'm slowing you down, she said. Ryan shook his head. You're alive. It's what matters. She looked at him, her voice quiet. You risked everything for me. You didn't even know me. I didn't need to, he replied. You needed help. That was enough. She touched his hand gently. Thank you. He didn't pull away. For a moment, the fire outside didn't exist. The war, the danger, the burning forest, it all disappeared. There was only the soldier and the alien woman hiding in a cave, breathing the same air. Then the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the cave. Rocks fell from the ceiling. "We have to keep moving," Ryan said. They exited the cave on the other side and found themselves above a narrow river. The flames were getting closer, and the air was hotter than ever. Ryan looked around. "Up there should be an old weather station up ahead. The antenna is still intact. I can boost a signal." Zalria pointed. "That way, through those cliffs." They hurried on as they moved. They passed strange plants growing in the rocks, glowing blue vines and orange flowers that opened when touched. Some of them sprayed mist when disturbed. Ryan avoided them. Suddenly a loud roar filled the air. From behind a rock, a giant beast appeared. It was tall and covered in thick fire-colored fur. Its eyes burned like coals. It was a cliff stalker, a predator that hunted in fire zones. Zalria gasped. "Don't move." "What?" But Ryan already had his weapon raised. The creature charged. Ryan fired. Shot after shot, but the stalker was fast. It jumped, claws out. At the last second, Zalria raised both hands and released a wave of energy. The creature stopped in midair, stunned. Ryan rolled forward and stabbed his blade into its neck. The beast fell, dead. Ryan breathed heavily. "You've got good aim," Zalria smiled. "You're not bad either." They moved on, finally reaching the top of a hill. There, standing alone, was a small metal structure, the old weather station. Ryan grinned. "Let's call for help." The old weather station stood like a forgotten statue in the middle of smoke and ash. It was small, rusted, and barely holding together, but to Sergeant Ryan Thorne and Zalria, it looked like hope. "This place hasn't been touched in years," Ryan said, walking around the metal base. "But maybe the antenna still works." "I remember this station," Zalria said, her voice hopeful. "My people used to monitor the forest's breathing here. It listened to the roots. We believed the jungle was alive." Ryan paused and looked at her, "And now someone's trying to kill it." She nodded sadly. The wind howled above them. Ash blew through the trees like black rain. But inside the station, it was quiet. Dust covered everything, and small vines had crept through. Broken windows. Birds had built nests in the ceiling. Ryan opened a control panel near the main antenna switch. "Let's see if I still remember how to fix old tech." Zalria sat beside him, helping remove broken wires and holding lights. "You humans and your machines. Always noisy. Always fast," he chuckled. "And you Zerons, always glowing and mysterious." They shared a brief smile. The panel sparked once, then again, and finally a dim light turned green. "Got it," Ryan said. "If I boost the signal through the old weather net, I can ping the nearest human ship. Might take a few minutes." He typed quickly, rerouting power and pressing commands. Zalria watched him, her silver blue eyes full of curiosity. "Back on Earth?" Ryan said. "I used to fix radios in the army. Before I became a soldier." She tilted her head. "Why did you become one?" "Because someone needed saving, and I couldn't sit back." She lowered her eyes. "That's what makes you different." Suddenly the signal connected. A small beep echoed in the room. "Command. This is Sergeant Ryan Thorne," he said into the mic. "I have one Zeron civilian with me. The forest is unstable. We are requesting immediate extraction." There was silence and static, and a voice crackled through. "Sergeant Thorne, this is Rescue Ship Orion." Signal received. "I'll wait to 20 minutes. Stay safe." Ryan leaned back, exhaling deeply. "We made it," he said. Zalria smiled. "You did it." But the joy didn't last long. A loud boom shook the station. Dust fell from the ceiling. The walls trembled. "What was that?" Zalria asked. Ryan stood, gun ready. "Trouble." He moved to the window and froze. A black dropship was landing in the clearing nearby. Its engines blew away the ash, revealing the dark earth below. The side doors opened, and 5 soldiers in black armor stepped out. "They found us," Ryan said. "Same ones from the cliff." "How did they know we were here?" Zalria whispered. They were watching for signals. Ryan answered. We lit a flare for the good guys, but the bad ones saw it too. He turned to her. Get inside the back room. Stay down. Don't come out unless I call. She touched his arm. You can't fight them all. I don't have to. He said, just buy time. Ryan stepped outside as the black-armored soldiers began moving toward the station. Smoke swirled behind them like shadows. They carried advanced rifles, silent, deadly. Ryan raised his own weapon. No trespassing. On Zayron land, turned back. One of them stepped forward, removing his helmet. He was human, cold eyes, sharp jaw. Sergeant Thorne, he said. Walk away. This doesn't concern you. Ryan tightened his grip. Killing civilians concerns me. The man sighed. We warned command not to let soldiers grow soft. You could have lived, Thorne. He raised his hand. The soldiers opened. Fire! Ryan dove behind cover, rolling and firing back. Blue bolts of energy lit the air. One black-armored figure dropped, hit in the chest. He threw a flash grenade. Light exploded, moved fast and precise. Years of combat training guided his every step, but there were too many. A bullet grazed his shoulder. He grunted and fell behind a rock. Inside the station, Zalria felt the ground shake again. She heard shouting, blasts, and pain. She closed her eyes, then stood up. No, she whispered. Not again. She walked out. Ryan was pinned behind. Cover gun nearly empty. Then he saw a soft blue light behind the enemies. Zalria stood tall, hands raised. Her body glowed brighter than before. Energy pulsed around her like waves. The ground beneath her feet cracked. The soldiers turned too late. She unleashed a burst of pure force. The nearest soldiers were thrown back into the trees. The remaining enemies turned their guns toward her. Ryan jumped from cover and tackled. One, punching his helmet until it cracked. Together, Ryan and Zalria fought as one. She struck with energy, he with skill. They moved like fire and steel, at last. Only one man remained. The cold-eyed commander. He aimed his rifle at Zalria. Ryan stepped between them. Don't, he said. The man sneered. She's just an alien. No, Ryan replied. Hey, she's alive. That's all that matters, he fired. The last soldier fell. The sky above rumbled. A rescue ship descended. White and silver, with blue lights flashing. The side door opened, and medics ran out. Ryan dropped his weapon. Zalria leaned against him, tired but alive. A voice on the loudspeaker said, We've got you, Sergeant. Welcome home. Ryan smiled, not because he was safe, but because she was. The rescue ship's bright interior was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines and the gentle footsteps of medics. Sergeant Ryan Thorne sat next to Zalria on a narrow bed. The coolness of the ship, a relief from the burning heat outside. Her silver blue eyes were tired but calm, and her violet skin, though still marked with ash and bruises, began to glow faintly with health. A medic adjusted the monitors beside them. She's stable, the woman said softly. Your quick action saved her. Ryan nodded but didn't say much. He looked out the small window as the planet Zari-IV slowly disappeared behind them. The fire was still raging below, but here, in the ship, there was hope. Zalria turned to Ryan, her voice gentle. Oh, why did you help me? Why risk your life for a stranger? Ryan smiled, but it wasn't an easy smile, 'cause everyone deserves a chance no matter where they come from. She studied him. That is a human strength. Sometimes your bravery is your greatest weapon. He looked at her, feeling a warmth beyond the ship's air conditioning. And sometimes, it's the people you save who change your life. The ship's captain entered the small room, a tall woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. Sergeant Thorne, she said, thank you for your courage. Your report has reached command and an investigation will begin. But we need your full story. Ryan nodded. I'll tell you everything. Zalria looked at the captain and said, I want to help too. My research might explain the fire and why someone attacked us. The captain glanced at Ryan, then back at Zalria. We'll give you both full support. This fire might not be just a natural disaster. It could be a crime against an entire world. Ryan felt a surge of determination. Then we need to act fast. The people who started this fire won't stop. They passed in the ship's medical bay. Ryan's shoulder was healing, but he couldn't rest. He spent hours talking with Zalria about the forest, her people, and the strange energy pulses she had discovered under the roots. It's like the forest has a heart, she explained. A network of energy flowing beneath the soil. If damaged, it could die, and if it dies, the whole planet could suffer. Ryan frowned. So the fire is trying to kill more than just trees? Yes, she said. It's an attack on the planet itself. On life. The thought made Ryan's chest tighten. He looked at her and said, "We have to stop this before it's too late." Zalria smiled faintly. "That's why I'm glad you found me. You're more than a soldier. Are a guardian." One evening, while the ship floated silently near Zerafor's orbit, Ryan sat beside Zalria, watching the stars. "Tell me more about your world," he said softly. She looked out the window. Zerans live in harmony with the forest. We listen to its whispers and protect its secrets, but not all agree. Some want to use the planet's power for themselves. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Sounds like greed." Zalria nodded. "Yes, and greed destroys." He reached out and took her hand. "We'll fight that greed together." She squeezed his hand back, and for a moment, words were not needed. Suddenly an alarm sounded. The ship shook. Unknown ships approaching. "Fast," the captain said over the loudspeaker. "Prepare for defense." Ryan grabbed his weapon. Zalria stood beside him, energy pulsing at her fingertips. The ship's crew rushed to stations. Outside the windows, shadowy shapes moved closer, black fighters, sleek and silent. "They're coming back," Ryan said grimly. The ship's weapons powered up. Blue beams lit the darkness as the first enemy fighter was hit and exploded. Zalria closed her eyes, sending waves of energy through the ship's shields, strengthening them. Ryan watched the battle, heart pounding. We can't let them win. The fight lasted minutes but felt like hours. The enemy was relentless, but poorly coordinated. The ship's defense held strong. After the last fighter was destroyed, silence returned. The captain nodded to Ryan. "You and Zalria were crucial. Your teamwork saved us." Ryan wiped sweat from his brow. "We're not done yet." Zalria smiled. "No, this is only the beginning." Later, in a private room, the captain handed Ryan a data chip. "This contains evidence of the fire's origin. We believe a powerful corporation hired mercenaries to burn the forest and claim the land." Ryan's jaw clenched. "That's the enemy." Zalria looked determined. "Then we must expose them." "Save my world." Ryan stood, filled with new purpose. "We will." "Yes." Zerafor's blue-green light returned in the viewport. Ryan and Zalria prepared for the next step of mission to bring justice, to protect the planet, and to face the darkness together, no matter the cost. The rescue ship orbited silently above the burning planet, its engines humming softly. Inside the command room, Sergeant Ryan Thorne and Zalria stood side by side, staring at the holographic map of Zerafor. The map showed large areas of the forest engulfed in flames, but also smaller green patches, safe zones where life still thrived. "We have what we need," Ryan said, his voice steady. "This data chip holds proof that the fires were started on purpose. A corporation wants to destroy the forest and claim the land for mining." Zalria's eyes flashed. "Those mercenaries almost killed me. They don't care about life or balance." Ryan clenched his fist. "We'll stop them." The captain of the rescue ship nodded. "We will deliver this evidence to the Galactic Council. They have the power to stop the corporation and punish those responsible." Ryan looked at Zalria. "First, we have to protect the remaining forest and its people." She smiled softly. "I will lead the ground teams. You will coordinate the defense. I know how to fight these mercenaries." Together they planned the next move, to save the planet from destruction and bring peace to its people. As the ship landed in a green valley, Ryan felt the cool breeze for the first time in days. The air smelled fresh, mixed with the scent of wet leaves and wildflowers. Zalria led him to a small village where the Zarans lived simple homes built with wood and glowing crystals. The villagers greeted them warmly, their faces full of hope. "This is home," Zalria said, "and I want to protect it with all my heart." Ryan looked at the people and felt a new kind of courage. "Then we fight for this home." Over the next weeks, Ryan and Zalria worked together with the villagers and rescue teams. They rebuilt shelters, cleared burned areas, and set up defenses against more attacks. Ryan trained the villagers to use simple weapons and energy shields. Zalria shared her knowledge of the forest's energy to strengthen their powers. They were a team human and alien working to save a world on the edge. One evening, after a hard day of work, Ryan and Zalria sat by a small fire outside the village. "You saved me," Zalria said quietly, her eyes reflecting the flames. "I didn't do it alone," Ryan replied. "You saved yourself too." She smiled and reached for his hand. "I've never met anyone like you." He squeezed her hand gently. "I've never met anyone like you." The fire crackled between them, warm and bright, but peace was short-lived. One morning alarms sounded. Black ships appeared on the horizon. Faster and more numerous than before, the mercenaries had returned. Angry and ready to destroy everything. Ryan stood tall, rallying the villagers. "Hold your ground. Protect the forest and your homes." Zalria raised her hands, glowing brighter than ever. Energy waves surged from her, creating a barrier around the village. The battle began. Laser fire lit the sky. The villagers fought bravely, but the mercenaries were ruthless. Ryan moved through the chaos, defending those who needed help. Zalria's power pulsed, knocking enemies back and healing the wounded. Together, they made a difference, but the enemy was too strong. Just as it seemed hope might fade, a fleet of galactic council ships arrived. Powerful warships descended from the sky, their weapons ready. The mercenaries hesitated, then fled. After the battle, the Galactic Council's officers approached Ryan and Zalria. "You have done well," the lead officer said. "Your bravery and teamwork saved this world." Ryan nodded. "It was not just me. It was everyone who stood and fought." Zalria smiled. "And the forest itself." The officer looked at the data chip. "We will bring charges against the corporation and their mercenaries. Justice will be served." With the threat ended, the forest began to heal. Ryan stayed with Zalria. Helping rebuild and protect the planet, the villagers welcomed him as one of their own, and under the glowing stars of Zarafor, a new bond grew of friendship and respect between human and alien, soldier and scientist. One night, as the forest whispered around them, Zalria looked at Ryan. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything." Ryan smiled. "Thank you for trusting me." They stood together, ready for whatever the future held, because when brave hearts come together, even the wildest fires can be stopped.